Guru Nation, we have another guest at Clinical Research at Disneyland here at Yuma Clinical Trials. Oliver K. Did I pronounce it right?
Yep, you got it.
You are one of these new breed of smart, sharp dudes and gals. There's some gals.
Yeah.
Startup. You came out of nowhere like a month ago, and it makes sense because the product's only been out.
Yeah.
Really 7 weeks? What did you say?
Basically 7-8 weeks. Brand new.
Brand new. They got some revolutionary stuff. We'll hope to get you at SOS. Yeah. I introduced you to a few of the people this morning. You are trying to, and you went pretty vertical, and you guys released a post on LinkedIn that was how I initially got aware of you. Yeah. And then, like most things, I was skeptical. Okay, but I've seen everyone's trying to do everything, and then so I kind of left a comment, kind of like not snarky, but like I don't know, like whatever. Show me more. Basically, was what my comment said, or good luck, mainly. And then
healthy dose of skepticism,
right? Yeah. And then one of our mutual friends or colleagues, Jason from Select IQ. Emailed me. Ethan, sorry. Ethan reached out and said, hey, you should meet Oliver. He's up to like interesting things. And then you were also, that post was tagged by Joe Dustin. So these are like two people I respect, I've worked with. So I'm like, all right, they both can't be talking this way about like another charlatan or another person trying to make a quick buck. All right, it's worth a Zoom call. And on that Zoom, you basically rested my objection like in the first 3 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm very interested. So yeah, come down to Yuma and like, let's see what we can do just so you can shadow site. But you're essentially creating a way for sites to passively enter data in their EDC. Is that a fair way to summarize?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, basically what I've learned so far about this industry is that there's all this tech that sites use, all this tech that sponsors use and CROs use, and none of them talk to each other, which means that there's a lot of manual work that goes into connecting these things. Right. So that's where the problem of double and triple data entry comes up, where you're putting the data into an eSource and then getting the data over into the EDC. And people have tried to solve this problem before, but
double work, yeah. I'll never forget Katie's like first month here. Was our employee number 2, the one you shadowed today. Yeah. How was that, by the way?
It was awesome. Yeah.
So you shadowed a real patient screening, or what?
No, it wasn't a screening. It was just like a
regular visit.
Yeah, regular visit.
What did was it? What you expected, or
there were parts that I wasn't expecting, but the majority of it was pretty on par with what I
smoother than you thought, or
pretty smooth. I mean, the only hiccup was getting the ECG wires, like
see all that stuff AI can't do.
Yeah.
AI can't do that. They can't draw blood.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I can't draw blood either. So.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't for a while. Yeah. We just self-taught. I think Lana, who you see working hard in the background, you're gonna shadow her tomorrow. Actually. So we'll we'll do like a mini episode on my camera before you guys leave this week. Hopefully you get a few more visits to shadow and a different, like more diversity of studies. But Katie, on her first month here she's now on her 3rd year here. I asked her, and it's on a video, I said, what is like the worst parts of this industry? She said data entry. And she said, I don't understand why we have to put it in Creo, which is our eSource. Shout out to them. They're the sponsor of this pod too. Why do we have to put it in Creo and then we have to put it in this thing as well? And it's like, I've been doing it so long, I didn't really see it as a problem. You just get used to it, right? But to an outsider like her, it's like makes no sense. And I'm assuming you feel the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the healthcare industry for a while, so I'm used to very inefficient processes, but it still surprises me.
But do you think there's any value in redundancy? Like,
not with this. Yeah, I mean, redundancy for certain things, like if you have extremely important data that needs to be
manually hand checked.
Well, I mean, there's in the software engineering world, there's data redundancy where you got data in multiple databases in case like one database dies. But I think in this case, it causes more problems than anything.
I think the net is negative. Like it's just wasted of work.
Yeah.
I do find some value in it. So data entry, same with the regulatory filing. Like, hey, like whenever I get somebody and they're brand new, like let's say we're about to start somebody, God willing, here in the next few weeks. One of the easiest things is like have them do data entry on their first day, because you don't really need to train them for that.
Right.
And or file papers in the reg binder. Like, hey, this is what a 1572 looks like. You should get familiar with some of these things. It's kind of, there is a value in that. I think there is also a value in entering data manually, because there have been times in my career where I've caught like major deviations because I had to do that. And then I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And before it became an issue, I was able to correct it before I put it in the EDC.
Yeah.
But I think those examples far outweigh, or the inefficiencies far outweigh any benefits from that.
Yeah. And I think you were talking about like putting the data in for the first time, which, I think the issue is putting the data in the second time. Right.
Well, no.
Oh,
like
was
just entering it from like source to EDC.
Okay.
Because you can enter it wrong in the source and like just not realize there's a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you're doing it the second time, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that one's supposed to happen. What happened? And then you start backtracking. Oh no, how do we fix this before it becomes an issue? And you can.
Yeah.
So, but again, I think those are the outlying cases.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we shouldn't push for greater efficiencies, just because there will be some.
Yeah. I think for a lot of this, AI agentic work, I think that's why it's so important to have a human in the loop, right? A human that like provides oversight on a lot of this work that isn't entirely autonomous.
Yeah.
And so I think, you'd still be able to have that double checking from a human to make sure that everything is working properly. But
that's what I mean by the redundancy part. But really, like you're supposed to have a QA layer in place as well. Once the site gets sophisticated enough, which not every site does. I mean, most sites still don't probably have QA like regularly. Mm-hmm. We started implementing one, and it's been going well, but it's still not to the level of like an AI would do. Right. It's still more of a risk-based QA approach.
Yeah.
Whereas the benefit of AI is this whole, like this last decade was the push towards risk-based approach. Like the monitor is not going to monitor everything because that's too much work for a human, but let's have them monitor just like the stuff that has a higher risk profile.
Right.
AI removes that paradigm because there is no need to like have this scarce resource of a human time.
Exactly.
It's just a machine. You don't care how much the machine works. Maybe with tokens and stuff, but like for deep reasoning. But this is not really deep reasoning stuff. Or
the cost per minute of having an AI do the work versus cost per minute for a human is orders of magnitude different.
Yeah.
But
so everything's pushing towards that.
Yeah. I think there's still probably a good argument for having both, right? Where, even from a monitoring QA perspective, having a combination of AI, monitoring the majority of the data, and then, humans focusing in on the really critical or like most high risk areas.
Okay. So, and before we get into how you got started, because I do want to talk about that. You shadowed a visit. Was this your first research visit?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ideally, I would ask you this after several, but earlier today, I was on a webinar before I got here about AI and people's fears that it will displace their jobs.
Yeah.
And part of what you're creating does threaten this in a way, depending on your framing of it. What do you see the ideal world in regards to research workers 5 years? Like, if your vision is implemented,
right?
What does it look like? Like, is Lana still there? Are CRAs still coming?
Yeah.
Like, just your vision of how this ends.
Yeah.
In the near future, not 20 years from now, but like 3 to 5.
Yeah. I mean, it is one of these like existential questions about AI right now, right? I don't think anybody really knows what the future is going to be like.
Yeah.
If I think of it in the way that kind of we're, solving this problem, I think if you ask any research coordinator or any CRA about whether they, think that this is like data entry is the most valuable way to spend their time versus other ways, right? I think they would universally say that it's not the most valuable way, right? And the most valuable way might be to see more patients or, take on more studies.
Well, even for us too, as the site owners.
Yeah.
I mean, we make no money answering a query or entering a data. We make it on the patient visits.
Right. Yeah. And so in this regard, like, displacing this part of the work makes productive and financial sense because your staff that you already have can focus on more important things. So in that regard, I don't think anybody's job is at risk.
Well, you just made a lot of people happy because there are skeptics out there.
Yeah.
I agree. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I actually think, so just like any technology, like a recent one would be food production, right? Like in the last century, it's gotten a lot cheaper to feed people. Very few people die of hunger these days. They die of excess food, even in poor countries. In research, the analogy would be having more opportunities to do more studies, for example, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, you wouldn't displace people. They would just be doing more.
Exactly.
What are some of the potential unintended consequences? Because the food production stuff, the unintended consequences were obesity, metabolic disorders.
Right.
There's got to be something unintended that we're not seeing yet.
Yeah.
Everyone's assuming it's going to be less burnout. I don't think so. I actually think the sponsors are going to figure out how to squeeze more data in.
Right.
So then it's like net negligible, but sponsors get more data out of it. But the burnout and all that still exists. What do you think that we're missing? If you had to game theory this out.
It's hard to predict the negatives, right?
Yeah.
Just the same as it is difficult to predict the positives. It's all speculative until we really reach that.
Well, positives are a little more easily understood because most people agree on like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Let's push for this.
Exactly. If you look at it from the positive lens, the positive lens is that now we not only can sites take on more studies and CRCs focus on more valuable work, but we can bring more life-saving medications to market faster. Right.
Okay.
That's the one of the positive consequences of like removing one of these like key bottlenecks. Negatives.
That's actually worth all the negatives there.
Yeah.
If you're giving more cures for rare disease patients, which are completely underserved, the new FDA administration is trying to do that. They actually made it one of their points to get more rare disease treatments out.
Yeah.
So I think this actually coincides with those tailwinds too.
Yeah.
And the FDA started using AI internally to approve drugs. And there's critics. How do you feel about that? FDA's decision to use AI. It's got to be a kind of a, not proof of concept for you, but what's the term for that? Like a cosign.
Right.
Like you're on the right track with your
Yeah,
thing.
Having the highest levels of leadership kind of green lighting AI use in this industry is like a great move, I think.
Makes everyone a little more.
Yeah. But I think, this application of AI on the FDA side is probably born out of necessity, right? As AI on the, research and development side of things accelerates, meaning more products can be brought to market faster. The bottleneck now becomes the FDA.
Yeah.
And so how does the FDA, that is, again, bottlenecked on human capacity, able to keep up with, all of these new drug applications and things like that?
So in our little world of the industry, it's really the data entry. There's a couple other like
Right.
lower hanging fruit. I'm actually surprised, and I was telling you yesterday at dinner why this problem hasn't been solved yet. Like they were talking about this. I remember them talking about this back in a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like one day you'll have no need for EDC. This
Yeah.
was no exaggeration, like 2015,
Yeah.
2014. And here we are, 2025. Maybe 10% of our studies go direct to EDC.
Right.
But that's not really what they were talking about in 2014.
Right.
They were talking about this passive integration, which is what exactly you're doing.
Yeah.
Although they would have probably dreamed of even more passive than that. But there's probably steps to get there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned like my background is in healthcare.
Yeah.
So I've dealt with, highly regulated industries, and the common theme is that as the level of security and scrutiny around data increases, the barriers to entry into like actually connecting these systems increases as well. And so what you find is a lot of very siloed databases and pieces of information all scattered throughout an entire
because
industry.
Everyone's scared.
Exactly. And rightfully so. I mean, you hear about hospital systems being locked down for months because they have
enormous
a data
fines.
Breach. Right.
People even going to jail.
Exactly. And so I think it is right in that regard to be skeptical and to be wary of security and compliance. And so that's why I've kind of, made it a forefront. Yeah. But maybe the unintended consequence, like we were talking about before, one of these is that none of these systems talk to each other.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk to each other. That's the ultimate reason.
None of them. And the regulatory. So Peter Thiel actually said the same argument. We wanted flying cars and we got 140 characters. That's like his famous quote, right? Because one industry is burdened with regulatory red tape. The other one's like the Wild West. Do what you want. And healthcare is definitely in that former category of regulatory burden. And I feel like it's slowly starting to get chipped away at least in the regards of AI.
Right.
With the new administration. Maybe out of necessity, because China was threatening to get ahead of us on that that regard. Maybe they've caught up. Last chart I've looked at, they had just as many phase ones over there than we have here.
Right.
So I feel like they had to do something to remove some of that regulatory burden.
Yeah.
But still have some kind of clarity for the vendors like yourself.
Yeah.
Do you operate like with fear, like you're not compliant?
No. I've again, just because of having spent so much time in the healthcare space that has equally tight regulations, like we know how to operate in these environments. Of course, we can't move as quickly as a social media startup would.
Sure.
Right? That has zero regulations.
You can't break things till...
Exactly, yeah. There would be many consequences of things breaking in this industry.
But so you got started then in healthcare.
Right.
Let's get into your career and then how you got into research, because most people get in there by accident, like me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did get into healthcare by accident in a sense. So I graduated college and then got a role at Amazon in one of their confidential, like, new projects. So it's funny, when I joined Amazon, I didn't know what I would be working on until the day that I started. When I actually walked into the office and they handed me a packet after walking in through these, highly secure doors and everything, and ended up learning that I was going to be working as an early team member at Amazon Care, which was Amazon's first push into consumer healthcare through like a virtual primary care clinic.
Right.
And so
they had those minute clinics or something, their version of that.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. They have since expanded beyond that with, their chat-based urgent care and
Teledocs and all that.
One Medical acquisition. But having worked so closely with the technology, it's funny, the interesting thing is that the main challenge in this industry isn't a technical one. It's a compliance, security, legal, privacy problem.
That's true.
And so the technical implementations for these kinds of projects can be done in a matter of weeks. The technology is all there, but making sure that everybody's happy with the state of how you've built your system from the perspective of IT security.
Right.
That's what ends up slowing things down, especially when the stakes are so high. And so I took that understanding and seeing really how you take these kinds of ideas in highly regulated space and bring them to real people. I took a lot of those learnings into the clinical research space and kind of what we're working on now.
So, but how did you get there? Like, what alerted you towards, or what oriented your direction towards research from Amazon? Like, were they? Because I know they're doing some research too. Was it through their research initiatives?
There wasn't a clear, direct line between what I was doing at Amazon Care to what I'm doing now. It was kind of a long journey of trying different ideas, experimenting, and seeing kind of where I felt in my gut was a problem that we were uniquely positioned to solve really well. I had a lot of criteria for some of the problems that I really wanted to dedicate my full attention to, and really this was probably the first experiment that got overwhelming response from the industry.
And this is your first startup?
Yeah, it is.
But how do you go from employee with Amazon, right?
Yeah.
To not knowing anything about research, or did you already start to learn?
I knew nothing about research.
Yeah, to learn about research and then say, okay, I want to jump into that.
Yeah.
What was that moment or series of events?
Yeah. Well, who was it that said basically that great entrepreneurs as an alternative career path could be investigative journalists. But I think that's
I would make a sucky investigative journalist.
Well, I mean, when you're coming to a brand new industry, it really takes a genuine curiosity about how things work to be able to understand a problem and come up with something that can address that problem. We talked a lot yesterday about how there's people who come trying to you get pitched all the time with new ideas, and it's
I thought you were just another one of that long list of every now and then there's one that's okay, no, this actually passed my BS detector.
Well, I'm glad I cleared the bar.
I mean, we still got to see if it works.
Right.
It passed that bar, which is majority don't.
But yeah, I mean, I talking about how I left Amazon, I don't think I was ever in the right place being an employee. I felt always I wanted
that.
Yeah, I knew that. In college, leaving college, I always wanted to be able to express my ideas creatively without being held back by layers of management before I could actually get something done. And so
you like to have the action.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, it starts off with doing things on the side, playing around with toy projects, and then realizing that, I could do this full time. Right. And so, I went from one of the biggest companies in the US.
Safe, secure.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the enemy of great? Good enough.
Yeah.
You had a good enough job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could have, lived happily ever after with a good paying job, but I think there are more important things than money. And one of them is just, having this freedom of creativity.
Correct.
And the best way for me as an individual to express that creativity is by building things.
Yeah.
And so,
So you started your investigative journalism while you were still at Amazon.
Right.
And you kind of, through your research, discovered clinical research is pretty broken.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even that I was doing, I left Amazon without
no plan, no parachute.
No, exactly. No parachute, no safety net. Because I realized, there's only one thing you can do really well at a time. You can focus on your, full-time 9 to 5 really well. or you can focus on doing your own thing really well. But like splitting your focus between things just doesn't work. And I realized that while I was at Amazon and decided, okay, I want to take a bet on myself. So I left my job. Luckily, my wife was able to support us for a while while I was kind of like, exploring what that next thing could be for me. And through a lot of this investigative journalism, ended up on clinical research and this particular problem.
And you no experience raising money?
No experience.
Angel, did you go through the angel round, or the initial seed round, angel, series A?
Yeah. So we raised our seed round probably 6 to 8 months after I left Amazon.
And that was all you doing?
Yeah. First time raising money, first time, putting a
Who did you go to first? Like friends and family, or did you go?
I had friends who had done startups. And so, the first thing for me was just talking to them about the process of building a startup. And of course, the topic of money came up. And because a lot of these friends are venture backed at all stages, anywhere from seed to Series B and beyond, I got a lot of helpful information and honestly, like almost impromptu introductions to investors. And so I decided at some point, okay, it's time for me to raise money, start building a team. And so we raised our seed round and hired a couple people who you've met. You're here with us.
Yeah.
And
we put them on the Instagram stories too. So we'll do it again tonight.
Shout out to Alan and Darren.
Alan and Darren, they're cool dudes. And then you applied for Y Combinator.
Yep.
I hear that's pretty competitive. Did you apply there as a research company, or because you're on your pivot already?
Yeah. Again, like I'd explored a bunch of different ideas in the space, and I think there's this, the partners at Y Combinator talk about this all the time, but the companies that end up making it are the ones that push through, all the difficult times, ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
Like the greatest companies that you've ever heard of, a lot of them have been born of great challenges, and these are not their first ideas,
right?
And so it's kind of strange when or people find it strange when you tell them about like all the different experiments that you've tested out, but I think persistence is probably the most important and common trait among successful founders.
And then what have you discovered so far about our industry? That it's pretty somewhat pleasant people.
Yeah.
But fragmented as far as interests, incentives, communications.
Yeah. I'll say that the people in this industry have been incredibly welcoming. The fact that we were able to go in such a short amount of time from not knowing anything about the industry to being able to sit here with you really just says a lot about, the kinds of people who are trying to change the world. Right? There are few industries that I find where people are so mission driven, trying to have like positive outcomes for the world.
Why do you think this EDC thing, passively entering the data, and I don't know how much you want to get into it as far as the details. I'll leave it up to you, but if you have tried it, I know we actually did a pod with one, and he's pivoted since, more focused on academic medical centers. But the bottleneck has always been politics at the vendor, the big ones, metadata as an example. Who should have done this, by the way, 10 years ago? Like, is that classic innovator's dilemma, or?
Yeah, sometimes all it takes is a new way of looking at the same problem, right? This problem is not a new one. It has existed for a while.
But you think the tech caught up to the idea? Because I know the idea came before the tech.
Yeah. It's probably a few things, right? It was probably a combination of the tech tailwinds bringing us new technology that has not existed since, or it become advanced enough until very recently to be able to have real applications. And then the other thing is just, probably just an outsider's perspective is sometimes all you need.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, metadata has tried to solve this problem. All the big players have tried to solve this problem.
Do you really think they tried though? Or do you think they just gave it lip service?
I think it was more lip service.
That's what I feel too, because there's no way. I mean, I don't know anyone. Well, I do know a few people at metadata. There are like thousands of employees.
Right.
And there's no way they don't have the human resources or the time.
Yeah.
They've been the industry leader for over a decade. There's no way they did not know about this or were unable to pull it off. It's more of they were okay doing incremental improvements to milk that. And maybe they're just caught off guard now, like scrappy startups are able to do it. What they should have done really 3 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is probably, this is the same in the healthcare industry. So this isn't any new information that I'm sharing. But when you have individual vendors that get very big, they don't want to play nice with other systems, right? You've got, metadata, but like on the research side, you've got metadata, you've got all these other companies. On the healthcare side, you've got Epic, you've got Athena, you've got all those other systems.
eClinicalWorks.
Exactly, yeah.
They don't play nice.
Exactly.
We learned that.
Exactly. And so, a solution like this that is really building a pipe between all these different systems can't exist within one of those vendors.
Right.
So it almost takes an outsider.
And the outsider is really the humans.
Yeah.
Through our credentials.
Exactly.
To bypass the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they haven't done this. And you can argue the tech really wasn't there until very recently to be able to do it seamlessly.
Yeah.
This industry is plagued by middlemen, for lack of a better word, not to be sexist, who control the data and access to, like, the whole notion of the CRO. The CRO started helping sponsors manage their trials because sponsors don't do that. Let us do it. Once digital stuff came out, they started controlling the dashboards. Like, hey, and then the sponsor's like, well, how come you can't just tell us what the problems are directly? Like, why can't we see? Well, no, we have to tell you. And then we're going to communicate to the sites. So they're always keeping themselves important, right? Valuable. And now the tech has gotten so good to where the sponsors have their own dashboards now to plug in. And vendors like Creo is a good example. They can offer the dashboard to the sponsor directly.
Yeah.
So you can see exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it would, in a case like yours, it's even one step beyond that, because there really is no dashboard to speak of. It just kind of happens like magic. There's a few buttons the coordinator has to click. Human still has to verify it at the end. But maybe you want to explain. I know you don't have a demo here. I saw the demo yesterday. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
You'll show it at SOS.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe just the elevator pitch for the idea.
Absolutely. So the elevator pitch is basically, it's an AI co-pilot for clinical research sites. It automates a lot of the repetitive data entry tasks that have to happen between an EDC an eSource and an EDC. There's a component within it that helps analyze the extracted data from these sources against study protocols to flag for potential queries or protocol deviations early. So you don't have to wait 5 or 10 days to figure out that there's a query that you need to resolve, even if it's like, you added a space when there shouldn't have been a space.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really simple product. But the problem itself is quite painful.
Yeah, for the workflow. And it's really like when you look at, for example, the data entry.
Yeah.
it's just one aspect of the workflow. It's not even like the complicated part, right? It's more the annoying part.
Yeah.
The complicated part is patient doesn't qualify because maybe they have to wash off of meds.
Right.
I mean, in theory, an AI can tell you this too. Like, hey, have patient doesn't qualify, have them wash out of meds. But currently, that's human processing.
Right.
That has to happen, and it's supposed to be the PI.
Right.
But it's rare that that's actually how it happens. It's usually the PI is too busy, and someone like Lana is the one who has to think this.
Right.
Right. So we're getting to the point where like the thinking part can get outsourced to these systems, right?
I mean, that's the kind of idea behind the AI, right? It's outsourced intelligence in a way.
Right. So what's left though after the thinking? The glue that holds the different thinking parts together?
I mean, what's left is the human-to-human interactions.
Yeah.
Right. You have somebody in the room with the patient.
Which you saw today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, AI is never going to have that human touch.
Right.
Or at least not in the foreseeable future.
When the
right.
humanoid robots come out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where robotics gets us. But yeah, I mean, you can feel the difference between talking to a human and talking to an AI.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
I actually called into, so Patient Ace, my startup I was telling you about, we just released a phone number. It's kind of cool, actually. I can call it here for the demo. Will it be able to pick up the phone, Daniel?
Huh?
Will it be able to pick up my phone if I call?
Yeah.
All right, check this out. Mike, right? Okay. Check this out. We just released this, Patient Ace. Check this out. It sounds like a real person.
This call will be recorded for quality
Not yet.
purposes.
Watch.
Hello, this is Jenny with Patient Ace. Are you interested in participating in the obesity study?
Yes, Jenny, I am.
Great. Let's get started. First, can I have your full name, please?
Yeah,
I'll
Dan
confirm
Sfera.
the spelling with you.
Yeah, Dan Sfera.
Thanks, Dan. Just to confirm, that's DANFAIR, right?
No, S like Sam, F like Frank, ERA.
Got it. So your name is Dan Sfera, spelled DANSSERA, correct?
Correct.
Perfect, Dan Sfera. Now, can I have your phone number, please?
Yes, 949-415-6256.
I get a lot of spam calls now.
Just to confirm,
That's my Google Voice.
949-415-6256, right?
Yes. So it's going to walk me through questions.
Awesome. All right, Dan. Next, can I have your email address?
Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com.
Thanks. Just to confirm, your email is dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, I have a few questions to see if you qualify for the study. It'll take about 10 minutes or so. Is that okay to proceed?
Yes.
All right, first question. Do you have type 2 diabetes?
Yes.
Got it. Next question. Do you know your most recent HbA1c level?
Yes.
Great. What is your most recent HbA1c level?
7.5.
Got it. Next question. Do you have chronic kidney disease? If yes, do you know the stage?
No. And I'll save 10 minutes, but it actually does it very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just rolled this out today. And I was surprised like how human the voice actually is and responds. And this is the worst version of it. Like every day it's going to get better.
Yeah.
So there will be no difference at some point between like Lana, who's sitting there. She does these pre-screenings all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, she's way better. She'll even throw some jokes in there and stuff. But like, I think that's coming too from these things.
Yeah. I mean, voice AI in the last 6 months has just advanced so much. Yeah.
Crazy.
Incredible applications for it. And luckily I get to we both get to see it from the front lines.
Right. But that human to human, it is kind of getting replaced. Like that's one example. little
I
by
mean,
little,
yeah.
it is getting even that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how far it goes, right? Will AI come to the physical world? That's kind of what I meant by human to human.
I don't think so.
Right. But
There was talks back in the day of Alexa doing the patient-reported outcomes at home for the patient, like through the voice.
Alexa still can't even take my timer right.
They can't exactly. But I guess the ultimate question, and from this webinar I was on today with Jess Thompson, if we're outsourcing more and more of the intelligence, like for example, when we drive, we use maps. People actually forgot how to navigate without GPS.
Yeah. I mean, I fall into that category.
I do too. Are we going to forget, and does it really matter, the fundamentals of research? Or are we just like slowly outsourcing more and more to the systems until we're just kind of the glue, I guess, between whatever's not connected, which will only continue to get connected?
Yeah, I don't know if I can speak to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question. It's the same question that every industry is facing.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who tells you that they know the answer to this question is probably lying.
But regardless of the answer, it's happening.
Yeah.
So you got no choice. We're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah.
So the advice because I actually think what they're doing, coordinators, maybe the safest job right now in the industry because of that patient interaction. Yeah. Maybe CRA as well. They don't have patient interactions, but they have coordinator interaction. Right. But everything else, man, I think kind of risky.
Yeah. I mean, what you said earlier about, CROs being this middleman between, sponsors and sites. I mean, I totally agree. We're going to see less of this dependence on middlemen across industries. Mm-hmm. More and more of that work is going to get automated, and we're outsourcing intelligence. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly something to be said about.
But then at the site level, so they're using that analogy, sponsor CRO, site, right? CRO has historically, they've made it multi-billion, maybe trillion-dollar industry from being that middleman.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say they're removed. They're going to pivot to something else. But now you get the site sponsored directly, but now who's the middleman at the site? It's the coordinator.
Right.
So when the monitor wants to know, hey, where are we at with this? They have to rely on her to give an answer.
I mean, in that regard, like the coordinators are not a middleman, right? Like they're the endpoint in the system, right? Again, like, they're the direct interface with the patient.
Yeah.
Right? So in that regard,
middleman, I guess, in the sense of custodian of information.
I mean, certainly, like the access to that information is going to speed up.
Yeah. Or like waiting on their reply.
Exactly.
Like when CRAs get mad at coordinators, it's usually because they're not replying.
Yeah. I mean, this idea of this 5-day KPI to submitting data, or like 10 days to reply to a query, like that will all shorten. And it's
it'll be minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So from that regard, things are going to get more efficient.
Yeah.
But it's not because, again, there will be any fewer research coordinators or anything like that. I think that's probably the short-sighted way of thinking.
I think it's short-sighted.
Like, I mean, Lana was telling this to us yesterday, how a lot of the people that end up participating in trials in this area, like she knows them personally, right? Like and AI,
a small community.
Exactly, and AI is not going to be able to replace human connections. You're
be like that curator of what's good,
exactly,
what's not a scam.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the virtues.
Yeah, your bar for trust is going to go so much higher.
Right.
So how do you handle that? Right. You rely on these human connections.
I tend to be optimistic about this too. I actually think, like I mentioned, the burnout. I think sponsors are so greedy for data. So first of all, I think patients benefit from this the most. The second one that benefits the most is pharma.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get so much more data out of their studies.
Yeah.
Like they'll be able to just throw more things in there.
Yeah.
With minimal patient burden, maybe minimal coordinator burden.
Yeah.
although that's not really their main interest, but because of tools like this. But they'll be able to squeeze more out, but the work will still be the same for someone like Lana.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, half of the inbound that we get is from large sponsors. Because
Inbound, what do you mean? Like
they're reaching out to me and my team
okay.
because they find the value in faster access to higher quality data.
Of course.
Right? They benefit in
that's
a
$1
different
billion
way
business right there. Like if you can make that speed up a study by even 5 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $1 billion vendor.
I mean, if every day that you're delaying the launch of a new product,
it's like
you're
$2
losing
million.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine, what you could get by, accelerating, your go-to-market on some of these products.
Yeah. And I think it boils down to sites. Sponsors seem to have taken the stance, at least now, of whatever the sites want, we're okay with it. Like this whole notion of bring your own tech, which Joe Dustin made famous. I think we're there. Last decade, it was like forcing you. Right. And it was usually the CROs forcing you to use this. There's still some element of that. But if sponsors are okay with if a site has their own solution already and has the SOPs, the documentation and all that stuff, they're okay with it for the most part. And so I think what your product would be just another example of bring your own tech.
Yeah.
So they just want to know that the sites like it, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which I can't imagine any site doesn't like this.
Who likes doing double data entry?
Unless it doesn't work. That's the only way. That's the only way. Or if it gives them more work.
Yeah.
Which you guys got to be mindful about. Which you guys are, because we had conversations yesterday. So I think big things coming up for you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate you having me on the podcast and bringing me out to Yuma and
you caught us at a really good time too. July in Yuma, no place better. In the world.
Well, luckily your office is air conditioned. So.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Shout out to Izzy. All right. Well, everyone follow Oliver on LinkedIn. His LinkedIn's underneath, and you got pretty popular after that last post.
It was surprising, but welcome.
Yeah, that was good. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Go connect with Oliver, and stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.